right, so we've got the three different equations, right? Okay, so we've got simple interest. Your R is your rate in decimal. Your T is your time in years. And your A is your final amount. Okay? Now over in this compounding section, you've got this N, okay? And this is the number of times that it happens yearly. Okay, so compounded quarterly, biannually, etc. Okay, so you should have probably talked about that in Algebra 1, but if you didn't, any of those LY words are going to tell you a lot. And obviously last week we talked about what E represents, and E is that 2.71 number. Okay? Whenever you see the word continuously, you're going to use this compound continuous interest problem or formula. Okay? All right, so looking at number 1. Okay, it says in the last 12 years, and I'll scroll down in a second, the last 12 years, an initial population of 38 buffalo in a state park grew by about 7% per year. Yikes. Okay, so as the person that I am, I struggle with word problems, just like the normal person does too. Okay? And so what I do in order to help combat me struggling with word problems is I take notes on the word problem. Okay, so for instance, it tells me that there's an initial population of 38 buffalo. Okay, so I know that my p-value is going to be 38. Then it also tells me that I have 7% per year. So that means that my rate is going to be 7%. But remember, we got to change R to a decimal. So we're going to move that decimal over 2 places. And that's going to give us 0.07. Now they ask us to write an equation modeling the situation. So we're going to take the simple interest, which is P times 1 plus or minus R raised to the T. So again, our initial amount is 38. We're going to write 1 plus, and our R is 0.07. And we don't know how many years yet, so we're just going to leave it as T. So this is how you actually write that equation, modeling that situation. In part B, they say state how many buffalo there were after 8 years. So what we're going to do is put 8 years in for T. Okay, so 38 times 1 plus 0.07, and we're going to raise that to the 8th power. Okay, I highly suggest practicing typing this into your calculator because a lot of people do pretty well in understanding what this stuff is, but they don't actually do well with plugging it in. So when I plug this into my calculator, I get 65.29, which we can't have half a buffalo, so we're probably going to round either up or down, and it just kind of depends on the test whether you round up or down. Okay, so I would take a second. I want you to move on to the second one. Okay, and you're going to perform the same thing over again, except this time it says decreased. So instead of using 1 plus R, you're going to use 1 minus R. So go ahead and take a second and write out this equation. All right, so I'm going to write an equation, right? So I'm going to say A equals 596,297, 1 minus, and our rate is going to be 0.031, and I'm going to raise it to the T power. Now in part B, it asks what was the population in 2015. Now remember, we started in 1990, so this is like year 0, okay? So how many years from 1990 to 2015 are there? Well, there are 25 years, right? So I'm going to take my equation, and I'm going to plug in 25. And so when I do that, I'm going to get 271,367.01, or just 271,367 people, because we always want to use our units when we write out our final answer. Okay? It says that you deposit $2,000 into an account that pays 4.5 interest compounded quarterly. Okay, so let's go ahead and circle the important pieces. So any of those LY words are real important. That's going to tell you a lot. You've also got your initial amount, which is $2,000, and you have 4.75%. And then you're trying to find the balance after 5 years. Okay, so we're going to use that second equation, which looks like this. Okay, so our initial amount was $2,000, and our rate is going to be 0.0475. We're going to divide by n. Now let's think. How many quarters are in a dollar? 4. So when they say quarterly, n is going to equal 4. So I'm going to put 4 here, and then I'm going to plug 5 in for t. Okay, so you invest $2,000, you let it sit for 5 years. Okay? And after you've done that, you're going to have $2,532.60. So for you literally doing no work, you just had money sitting in an account for 5 years. You made $532.60 for doing absolutely nothing. Okay, so this is beneficial to you by just plugging in your money into a savings account, right? Now, on number 4, it does say monthly. So that's going to change what our N is. How many months are there in a year? 12. Okay, so now our N is going to be actually 12. So I want you to repeat your process on number 4, just like what we did on number 3. Okay, so, all right, so again, you deposit $2,000 in an account that pays 3.75% interest, compounded monthly, 5 years. Okay, so we're going to use this formula again, and I would always start by writing down my formula first. 2,000 is going to go in for that initial. That rate is going to be 0.0375. 12 is going to go in for N, and then we've got 5 in there for T. So when I plug this into my calculator, I'm going to make sure that I use parentheses. Okay, so then I'm going to get, then I'm going to get $2,411.76. Okay. All right. Okay. So going ahead and looking at the next one. This one's going to deal with compounding continuously. Compounding continuously. And notice how they actually use that word continuously in their description. Okay? So go ahead and take a moment, use that equation from above, and see if you can substitute in. So that's this equation. Okay, so go ahead and plug in the information that you know and try it out. Alright, so let's walk through it. So you've got an initial amount of 3,500, e raised to the 4% or 0.04, and after 1 year. Okay, so when you go into your calculator, if you have a TI-83 or a TI-84, if you hit second and then ln, which is on the left-hand side, that'll get you that e, and then you'll get 0.04 times 1, which will give you $3,642.84. Okay, so you make essentially $142.84 in 1 year for doing nothing. That's pretty dope. Okay, On number 6, the same thing's going to happen. Okay, so you're still going to use that A equals PR to the T, and notice how it says continuously. So I'm going to get 4,800 E to the 0.065 times 3. And I'm going to go into my handy dandy calculator. And I'm going to get $5,833.49. Okay? So you should be able to tell which equation you're going to use based off of the words that are used. Okay? Those adverbs are going to tell you a lot. Okay? Continuously, quarterly, etc. Okay? If they just say increased or decreased, then you're going to use the simple interest formula, which was the first ones that we did. Okay, so just keep in mind that reading really is important. Otherwise, it changes which formula you use.